I'm Brenda Murray, and this is Studio 56. Studio 56 is your hub for all things urban sketching related. I'm here with Ian Fennelly from Hoy Lake in the UK, and Ian is an art consultant in the primary school system. He advises teachers in creativity, and he's an artist, and he teaches online workshops and all around the world. Hello, Ian.
Hi, Brenda. Hi, everyone.
We're going to chat a little bit about the link between mental health and creativity. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, that'd be great. That's right up my street, yeah.
Yeah. So when we chatted before, you mentioned something about fostering a sense of connectedness with the students who take your art workshops.
Yeah, that's really important to me, Brenda, because I feel that if someone comes on a workshop, they want to feel good about the person that's going to be teaching them. And one of the things I really try and get out from the students that join me on location is to make them feel really comfortable about the space that they're in and the view that they're looking at and the location. And it's really important to build up that relationship with that person, that they feel that this guy who's going to be teaching you and instructing you in creativity is going to be okay, and everything's going to be fine. And it's ultimately all about the people on the course. It's really important to me. So getting that connection with them and making them feel good about where they are and the location and the space and what they're going to do is really, really important. Because I think unless people feel really good and happy and content and comfortable, they're not going to learn. So the first thing I really try and do with all the students that come on my course is make sure they feel good, they feel okay, they feel secure in that they're going to be taught something that they can take away with them, and it's going to impact upon them as an artist, and that's really important for me.
Yeah, I think, you know, maybe people who are watching this are other art teachers who might watch and go, wow, those are some really good points. So how exactly, what's the process? Like, what do you do to make people feel comfortable?
Okay, so say for example we arrive somewhere on location, and let's say it's Amsterdam, because Amsterdam's where the symposium's going to be this year, and we arrive at this amazing spot, like a gorgeous little canal scene or something, and the first thing I'm going to do is just get people to really look at that space, but not just look at it, just kind of appreciate where they are and really kind of live for that moment and just kind of take it all in and get their senses going and just not just look at the colours and the shapes, but also to kind of really appreciate, you know, the fact that they're going to be there now and they're going to record and they're going to draw, they're going to paint, but they're just going to really live for that moment. That the next 3 hours are going to be something they'll remember, you know, hopefully for the rest of their life. And it's not just a learning thing; it's about kind of just enjoying where you are and breathing it all in. And you know, you could be nip off at half time for a coffee and a cake or something, and then you come back and you start again. And it's just really getting people to take all those experiences, all those sensations in a very kind of like human way, you know, because the first thing you have to do before you start with the eye and the hand, you have to get the heart going. You know, you have to get that kind of connection with the place and almost realize this is going to be something really important for you over the next, you know, 2 or 3 hours. So that's really important, and I go about that in lots of different ways. But it's the first starting point for all the workshops to really make that connection with the place that you're in, and that's just so important.
I mean, that's the real difference between drawing when you're there in person on location and drawing from a photograph as well, right? Like, you don't get that sense of connectedness at all if you're drawing from a photograph.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's so important. When you work from a photograph, you're completely passive. You're not part of the scene. You know, you're looking at something where all time operates on the same level. It's a snapshot of reality. But when you're on location, you occupy the same three-dimensional space as your subject. You know, you are part of that scene. You know, you're active, and you're involved in it. So if you're drawing something, you know, for 3 hours, you're drawing your experience of being there over that period of time, which is really important. So it's almost like your drawing is a record of time. It's a record of how you feel. And you start off and you're probably at first, you know, you're quite nervous and you're twitchy and you're not quite sure what's going to happen. And then gradually your confidence grows through the process that I take people on, and your confidence builds up and you get more familiar with the place and you get more comfortable and you start seeing more things, and you start noticing all the details in the buildings that surround you. And that is a record of time, and you are physically involved in the space in which you're drawing. So it's a much more kind of powerful thing. You are so much more intimately connected with your subject. And it's the opposite of working from a photograph, where you're completely passive. And I think that's really important, and that's the essence of urban sketching, and it's the essence of what I do as a teacher on location, getting people to really appreciate that you are physically, dynamically involved in that space in which you're recording, which is just so cool. It's so amazing to do that.
Yeah. Do you have some examples of your art? Tell me about.
Yeah, I've got a few here. This, because one of the things we touched on before is this whole thing about mental health.
Yeah.
And when you draw on location, you obviously interact with lots and lots of people. You meet lots of people. So I'm just going to show you this one now. So this picture here, okay, this was drawn in Porto at Symposium last year. And when I was drawing this picture, I was sitting outside this apartment, and I was like halfway into the drawing, and suddenly all this bread starts landing on the surface of the picture. And I thought at first it was like a bird, a bird was dropping bread. So I just kind of ignored it and I carried on, but more and more bread kept coming down on the picture. So I stopped and I looked up, and there was a really old Portuguese lady leaning on the balcony chucking bread at me and shouting and screaming. And I had no idea what she was talking about. And she must have been about 95, and she was really, really tiny. And I'm quite a big guy. Okay, I'm quite a tall guy. So I thought I can probably handle you, but that's not the point. When you're drawing on location, you want to be nice with everybody. So I ignored it anyway. More and more bread's coming down. She's chucking it. It's landing on the page, splashing all over my picture. And there was a Portuguese taxi driver watching this, and he started explaining what was going on. And he was saying she's really fed up of artists sitting outside her apartment drawing. She wants you to go away. So I thought, well, I could probably take her and I could probably argue with her, but I just don't want the hassle. So I left. I just went. I walked away. Anyway, I went for a coffee and a bite to eat. I thought, I want to go back and finish this picture because it was only halfway finished. So I went back. Now, bearing in mind she's 95 and I'm 6'3", I thought I shouldn't be frightened of her, but I was, because I didn't want to upset her. Because when you're making art on location, you're just feeling so good about it all. You're in this most beautiful city. You're making art, you're drawing, you're painting, you're using colours, you're using all your senses. You don't want anybody to kind of upset that equilibrium. You don't want anybody to come along and kind of spoil it for you. And that's what she kind of did. So when I came back, I looked up at the balcony and I thought I could see that she wasn't there. And I'm thinking, I hope she's gone to bed, because if she comes out again, I'm going to run away. And the wonderful thing is, every time I now look at that picture, that's all I think of, this 95-year-old lady chucking bread at me. And in terms of well-being, the memory of that now makes me feel so good, makes me feel the memory of that is more powerful than the memory of doing the picture. But the two of them are very linked together, because it's that human element that we said before about being outside, being on location and taking it all in. So it's just great. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And I think when you're making art like that, there's something for artists anyway. There's just this sense of well-being that comes over you, isn't there? You just, there's just this sense of well-being that comes over you, and you sort of feel, relaxed, and you feel like there's no other place on the planet that you should be, and your senses are hearing sounds and you're smelling things, and you're just sort of really fully awake, right, when you're making art.
That's so true. You touched then, Brenda, on smell. Can I just tell you another little story?
Okay.
Let me show you this one. This is Keizersgracht in Amsterdam, and I just arrived in Amsterdam. It was about this time last year. It was freezing. It was absolutely bitterly cold, and I'm leaning up against a tree drawing the canal scene. And I just arrived, and I don't even know half an hour, so I was just kind of like getting used to the place. And I was just starting the drawing, putting all the colours down, putting my watercolour washes on, and this really lovely Dutch lady comes along, and she was the first person that I'd met on location, and she started chatting to me. And she's saying, you know, what are you doing? And I said, I'm an artist. Why are you here? Well, I've just come, you know, I'm running some demonstrations later on in the week, but this is just like a little bit of a warm-up drawing. Anyway, as she's talking to me, I couldn't help but notice she had this little dog next to her. And of course, the dog wasn't interested in the picture, but the dog was more interested in the tree. So anyway, after a couple of minutes, the dog cocks its leg and starts peeing on the bottom of the tree. And all my paints were right at the bottom of the tree. And as the Dutch doggy Evie's going down, it lands in the tray. It doesn't get into the tray, but it kind of seeps around the tray. And I'm thinking, if I'm not careful, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to dip my brush in the doggy pee and come up with this like amazing kind of browny, goldy colour. So, that was so funny. And it nearly happened. I mean, if I wasn't like aware of the dog and what the dog was doing, that would have happened. So again, now every time I look at this picture, that's all I think of. Dutch doggy wee wee.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Ian, you mentioned to me once before about, how you choose your colors when you're choosing colors. And your art is, it's kind of funky, and you've got this great line work, the thick and thin lines, and a lot of detail, which is very carefully chosen. And then your colors are also really, really beautiful and attractive, the combination of colors that you use. And I noticed that you don't paint every stone and every brick. You're very selective in your color combinations and in what parts of the painting you choose to put color on. So I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about what you mentioned to me before about looking at external colors and internal colors.
Okay, that's a really good question. When I teach color on location, I try and break it down into two areas. You've got your emotional color, which is what you feel inside, and that's to do with confidence, your personal confidence, and it's to do with how you're feeling on location. It's also to do with temperature. Are you cold? Are you warm? It's to do with energy levels. Are you tired? So there's the kind of like the internal emotional color, and then there's the objective color, there's the descriptive color or the local color, which is the color of the real color in reality. So if I hold this one up, this was done in Amsterdam. Now this particular picture, beautiful, in some parts is representative. So this is your objective color. So this building was this kind of browny sepia color. This building was actually black. But when you look at the railings and you look at some of the stuff that's going on around here, this is much more kind of emotional color. And this is kind of to do with temperature, because it was a really, really cold day and I was feeling cold. I was outside, I was all wrapped up. So sometimes you're using color in a kind of emotional way. And also the color is to do with how it behaves with each other on the page. So I'm not painting in a very descriptive way. My line work and my tone work tends to be more descriptive, and my color is more kind of emotional. And that's often to keep my energy levels going and keep me interested in what I'm doing. And I do lots of layering as well. So I might put like a really vibrant wash on first, but then I'll probably calm it down with brush pens and with hatching techniques and all sorts of layering things, just to kind of, it's a way of getting me into the picture, and it's a way of keeping it exciting and keeping me kind of driven, driving myself forward in terms of recording and in terms of representation. Yes, so colour is really important, and it's something that I do make a big thing of when we introduce the colour to the workshop, because we all see colour in different ways. You know, we all have our own kind of like favourite colours, and my favourite colour might be different from somebody else's. And I also talk about colour in terms of, you know, depth and coming forward. So obviously blue is going to recede and orange and red is going to jump forward. But sometimes it's quite nice to reverse that and do the opposite, because it makes it more kind of visually interesting. So yeah, so colour's a huge big thing, and it operates on lots and lots of different levels as well. Yeah. Cool.
Have you got another sketch there?
Yeah, I've got this one. This one here that I want to show you. Because I've got a really nice little story about this one. This is Liverpool. This is the Stepwell Fountain in Liverpool, and this is the Walker Art Gallery. And this goes back to, you know, memories when you're on location. And I drew this last year, and while I was drawing it, I was being filmed. There was a big film crew around me, And there was about 3 camera guys, there was a director, and there was a friend of mine that came with me. So there's about 6 of us, and it was all rigged up outside the gallery. And I'm doing this demonstration piece, and we're about halfway into the drawing, and there's people coming around and watching, but most people don't say anything. They just stand there and they watch. Anyway, this one guy comes along and he stands right in front of where I was trying to draw. So as I'm drawing the picture, he's like standing right in front of the fountain there. And I think he did it on purpose, because I think he just wanted a bit of attention. You know, people see cameras and they want attention. So I'm quite good at ignoring people, and I can draw past them. So I don't look at him, I look at the fountain behind or the building to the left, and I just carried on working. Anyway, he didn't like that because he wanted us to stop. So after a couple of minutes, he says, what are you doing? Because he was from Liverpool. So anyway, the camera guy, the director goes, right, cut, we need to stop. So I didn't say anything. The director turns around and he says, excuse me, sir, but we're doing some recording, you know, do you mind getting out of the way? He goes, what are you doing? And he says, well, we're doing a film, you know, we're filming this. The artist is doing some filming for us, and we're doing some filming with the artist because he's doing a demonstration piece. And the guy says, what's the name of the artist? And the director says, it's Ian Fennelly. And he turned around and he's, I've never heard of him. So at this point, I'd ignored him. But as soon as he said he'd never heard of me, I stopped working. And I said, well, excuse me, do you know the name of any artist? Could you name any artist for me at all? Thinking he'd say no and he'd walk away. Anyway, he stood there and he stopped for a minute and he looked and he thought. And he goes, yeah, I do. Leonardo to cappuccino. And he walked off. So he got his actors, his artists, and his favourite coffee all mixed up in one. And then he walked away. And it was just brilliant. It was like, you'd never get a moment like that unless you're outside drawing. You know,
I captured that on video.
It draws people in. That's the beauty of this. When you're outside, and all the people out there that have done urban sketching before, you know what it's like. It just draws people, and people are fascinated by what you're doing. You know, they'll come along and they'll watch and they'll ask you questions, and they'll just be really interested in what's going on. And that's the lovely thing about it, which I think makes it so powerful for you, and it's good for your soul, because it just connects you with people. It's not just the art, it's the living, the experience, the being outside, the just embracing the whole kind of atmosphere that surrounds it, which is why it's magic, and why I think it's just so powerful now, and it's why I think we need it. It's so important in, you know, today's world where everyone's got their face shown in front of a screen, which is ironic because I'm talking to a screen at the moment.
So, I mean, I'm thinking, you know, if you're an artist, but you're a closet artist, you've never actually gone out sketching in public, which describes a lot of artists, right? And particularly if you are lacking in confidence in making art. In my opinion, that's kind of it's not good for you. It's kind of like you really need to get over that. You need to get out there and do it. Otherwise, you're not fully living who you were meant to be. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm just feeling like, what would you say to those closet artists who are just like a little bit afraid to get out there and just embrace it and live it fully, who they are?
I know a lot of people who, over the last, say, 2 years, have just started getting involved in urban sketching, and it's almost like been their first point of contact, because the groups are so active on Facebook and on social media, and they are groups, and that's the best aspect of it, that it's actually a group. So we've got a couple of groups here. We've got a Wirral group and a Liverpool group. So you go to the Wirral group, and I met with the Wirral group yesterday. There was 25 people, and it's a whole range of different abilities. So if you're feeling, you know, really lacking in confidence, there's always going to be somebody there who perhaps isn't that much more experienced than you, or maybe someone that's only been once or twice. And you might just draw in a really small little sketchbook with a pencil, and you might sit in the corner so nobody's looking over your shoulder, and that's fine, because that's how a lot of people are. And then you've got other people who've been doing it for years, like me, and I don't mind, you know, people coming along and watching what I do, and I'll always, you know, share tips and things like that. So there's a big range of people. But I think in answer to your question, Brenda, the most important thing is it's a community of people. And if you're not feeling super confident, that you've always painted inside looking at a photograph, then join the group, get involved in the group, or come on a workshop, or go and watch a demonstration first, and just connect with people, because there's always somebody who's probably at the same kind of level as yourself, and that's what's so important about it. It's just getting people out there, just enjoying the experience of looking at the world and recording it.
Right. Cool. So you've got some workshops coming up in the next year that you've planned like a year and a half in advance. And so if people are interested in taking an Ian Fennelly workshop in person, they should go to our website, www.studio56boutique.com. And there's a pull down menu there called workshops. And if you pull down that menu, you'll see what's coming up, and we'll be updating it frequently because you do teach workshops all the time, don't you, Ian?
Yeah, I've got loads. I've got loads coming up over, as you said, in the next year. I've probably got about 12.
Cool. And you also sell, at Studio 56, we're selling merchandise that features your beautiful art, prints and pillowcases and accessory pouches and all kinds of things like that. And you also sell your original art as well. And if people are interested, they should be in touch with Studio 56 Boutique, and we will put them in touch with you. And people could purchase an original Ian Fennelly piece, which would be wonderful. Viewers, please check into www.studio56boutique.com and click the subscribe button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got exciting interviews coming up and new products and workshops all the time. Thank you so much. I'm here with... Okay, Ian, you have to face the camera. All right, are you ready?
Yeah.
Do it again. I missed something. Blog interviews. Dang. Teaching them, no. Shit.
This is great. I'm loving this.
Yeah, because I'm the one messing up.